going on? What's going on?
Pop the hood on the Suburban, go ahead and look at the flame. Triple off spinning, we don't argue the name. Heavy duty exhaust roaring, high octane in the tank. The bitch working solid, take the work to the bank. I ain't reaching for the dash, no need to complicate. Got the wireless remote right here to set the way straight. Click the button on the file, watch the folks ride high. Danny built the box, you can't deny the supply. Don't need to run from the numbers, we let the heavyweight swing. When the craft is this tight, you don't worry about a thing. Roll down the lane, let the heavy bass drop. Danny built the box and it's ruling the top. From the beach to the truck, yeah, we run the whole gang. Tune the power up, make them recognize the name. Pure heavy juice, sitting steady and clear. Take it to trial if you doubting what you hear. He got the Jersey line running, hitting crystal and clear. Got the MooZilla box smoking out the hemisphere. And if you want it psychotic, watch the Psycho Zip slam. Pure maximum power, no static, no jam. The locals on the radio just listening and all. Can't match the clarity or the power that they saw. The voltage stays locked and the meters never drop. When
what's going on, everybody? Tuesday.
But they copy the style. We put the truth on the air till them take it to trial. Roll down the lane, let the heavy bass drop. Then it put the box and it's ruling the top. From the beach to
My friend Pepper made me this song.
Tune the power up, make them recognize the name.
That'd be pretty cool. It is. Did a good job. Come on, Warren Scott. 99.90. We'll get this thing started here in a minute.
Hit a big block, double feel the power in the flow. The evidence is solid, we ain't losing the war. Roll down the lane, let the heavy bass drop. Then we beat the box and it's ruling the top. From the bench to the truck, yeah, we run the whole gang. Tune the power up, make them recognize the name. Pure heavy juice, sitting steady and clear. Take it to trial if you're doubting what you hear. Yeah, click that file, feel that steady. Heavy barrel rumble, MooZilla, Psycho Zips, Jersey line, untouchable, loud, clean, right front and center. Case closed, just doing it right, letting the work talk.
Alrighty, here we go. So now I'm left with a lawnmower, and that's what we're hearing outside. So this is a, what's going on with this? Alright, so this is a MooZilla, and the MooZilla and the MooWatts line is the 2879-C. The transistors that a lot of people are, oh, I'm afraid of them, I don't understand them. They're a really good transistor. They actually can handle a little bit more due diligence to overdrive, and that's what people do. They overdrive their stuff. I'm trying to turn this on and see if I got audio. See if I'm even showing live. It's showing me live. Let's see. Okay, so it's running. All right, good deal. So the 2879Cs are been a transistor that's been around for a long time, and I put a lot of work in with Mr. North and in with this part itself. And since I started my South Jersey line, seemed like the Psycho Zip line, MooZilla, and the MooWatts line slowed down just because people were getting basically really good boxes for discount price. But this is the premium line, and what you can do with these boxes they're quite incredible. I mean, this thing would run, if you wanted to put it up there, it'll run like a 6 transistor unit, and that would be comparison to a standard box. So it'd be really close comparison what this 4 transistor unit will run as if it were almost a 6. So and with voltage and drive and different radios and etc. Now this unit here is mostly going to be on sideband probably all the time. So this is a meter assembly, and I just made it matched up. I put it in the video for the guy could see that I did his assembly and what it looks like and etc. I didn't send him any pictures, so we'll do a quick test on that, showing it how they're working. I'll just end up using the radio and just touch it and make sure they're all working. So with that said, I'm going to take and I'm going to do that test real quick and show that the meter assembly is working properly. And we'll just use this as a barefoot radio. So let's get this thing lit up and get things happening. All right, barefoot radio is going in here. So I am going to change these slugs. Yeah, I'll use this port. All right, I can use that port. Where am I going with this? I'm going in. Okay. All right, so whichever line I grab, I'm just going to hold it on here and let's see if it works. I just see if I can just hold it on there. Hello, 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 hello. There it goes. All right. I'm on sideband. Audio, audio, audio. That's what this radio does on sideband. I'm on single sideband, and it's not working. There it is. Audio, 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 audio. So that's average power, 18 to 19 watts average power. That was a 25 watt slug. So just real quick, I'm just going to just show the assembly is all functioning. All the windows are very close or similar, identical numbers as far as reading goes. Let's see the next one that's working. All right, so all the way over to the end. Audio, audio, audio. All right, so that one's working. So, and I'm not screwing them on there, guys. I'm just holding them on there. So I may or may not have a very good connection. Now, let me see if this is the other one or the one I already did. Audio, audio, audio. I already did that one. Okay, that one's done. The last one, and we'll get this out of the way. That's the last meter. Audio, 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 audio. So you can see they're all three of them are almost identical. So it's not really being portioned, whatnot. But this is a dual meter window system. The new digital ones will fit in there as well. This thing has 3 screws on each side. You take the screws off, the cover comes off. Then you have these 3 screws here if you wanted to take this front plate off. If you wanted to change out your windows. So that's pretty much how that one works. Nice little box to put a little feet under it, and we'll get it out of the way. So now moving on up to the 4 transistor unit, 2879Cs. Let me put a few things back here. That came out again, huh? O-ring. The O-ring on one of these things, I'm going to see if I can get it pushed in there better, but the O-ring came out of one of these, so I'll leave it out and I'll push it down there later. All right, so again, this little MooZilla box they're really good boxes. You guys got to understand they're talking about making parts that have more chips than what's in the C, and this has already been proven. And we have ran these transistors in competition. Hi, Molly. Hi, everybody. Hi. Say hello. Molly, you gonna say hi? No? You chilling? All right. So, these transistors are actually the best of what you could really do with HG-2879Cs. And we already know that the 20s, they did really good. We had to drive the crap out of them to get them to run. But I have an 8-pill with the 20 D08, the 20s in there, and it was just, it's just a great, that was their best transistor. But where we're at here today, the 2879Cs, standard packaging, has 6 chips inside of them. And with those 6 chips, you produce 50 more watts peak power. RMS is as well, but this is all on their specifications. So they say they got 6 chips in there, so that pill value is 150 watts peak. And we well exceed that. We already know that. We did the stuff with Toshibas and Motorola's for years. So that's a base number, and you should be able to get it to that number realistically. But at the end of it all, the C's are just something that people just never really understood. They are identical as a 2879 standard transistor. Now, I got a call about this the other day about somebody yabbering on Pell Talk. It was too late at night to talk about it. But I take sometimes those phone calls and just intertwine them in with my videos. But with that said, the C's are 6 chips in there. Each chip is 25 watts. So 150 watts peak power is what they call it at 12.5 or 8 volts. So yeah, they'll do that, and they'll do way and well and beyond that. So when you're getting into, I have an analog meter, a bunch of them. But I have peak meters where some people don't have peak meters. Now, I want to take and forewarn the guys that want to go on sideband. This is an automatic sideband unit. You don't have to hit no switches or anything. Go right from AM to FM to sideband, however you want to run the box. So, you just turn on the main power and you're ready to go. So, with that said, you can literally tell by amperage on how much power the amplifier is making due to amperage draw. And voltage, all right? Keep in mind, you got voltage. You're at 14.8, you're at 14.8. You're at 15.6 or 7, you're at 15.6 or 7. The envelope is well open. Back here, the output power level, when you have more voltage, it opens that door wide open. But if you only have 14.8, it's only this wide. Now you add another volt and a half, you open that door, that power can go in. And it will flow and go without increasing your drive, and you'll make a lot more power. But with that said, if you have an average meter or an RMS meter and don't have peak and you're trying to measure this stuff on sideband, your RMS meter just turned into an average peak meter. So you can realistically overdrive your equipment much easier by not reading it actually in peak mode. Not an average or RMS meter, but a true peak meter. And if you're a sidebander, and I'm talking about numbers, when I talk about drive levels, I have to go from AM and say, all right, I'm running this unit at 80 watts of drive in AM mode. Now in sideband, you don't need 80. You could use 25 or 30 or even 40. And 40 would be maximum drive. So that's an average on AM. But you have to remember those numbers are cut back on AM because why? We're utilizing that carrier on AM. That's why it takes more drive on AM than it does on sideband. You have no carrier. You have no wasted energy for an amplitude modulated carrier. Now, as soon as you take that out of the equation, everything you feed this thing, it's going to see it. So, like I said, it's very easy to overdrive a unit, especially a standard unit on sideband versus a 2879C. Why? Because you have that headroom. You have that extra 2 chips, those 2 chips that are going to able to eat up at least how do you want to say this? 2 chips that are, each one of those are 25 watts a piece, so you have 50 watts more peak that you have to feed. Or you don't have to feed and then just act as a doorman, a blocker, and they'll just take and say, hey, I'm going to share all this little energy with my 5 other buddies or 6 buddies. We're all going to eat equally. If you give me a little bit, we're all happy. If you give me too much, we'll stand it for a while, and then we're going to get full, and then we're going to blow up and just explode. And what's going to explode is the emitter. So you may not even see the quote-unquote tattletale resistor. That's what they call it. It's a 10 ohm resistor. That's a half a watt in these boxes. And the other boxes are quarter watt. But you have to understand of drive level when you go from AM to sideband. So if you're an AMer and you're commonly talking to AM, you know, that's cool that you go to sideband, but remember to back your drive down. And in first option, I would be just cut my damn driver off or talk on my driver first, and then if you don't get it, you can talk on the bigger box, make a little bit more power, and you still don't get it, back your driver down, and then go off in sideband and go and get you some, if that's the way you want to run it. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can make power. And you could have big boxes, drive in big boxes. I've seen that happen. Those big boxes won't only do so much power RMS, but the peak is much greater envelope. And some people do that. I've seen guys run an 8-pill into an 8-pill. Well, an 8-pill of the radio does about 200 watts. That's a pretty damn good drive level for an 8-pill. If it does it match up, I'm not too sure. So either way, let's take and get through this one here. So there's a 1/6 gauge 1/6 gauge no aux copper power cable coming out of this unit, and you have a 5/16 ground bolt on this one, and this is how I've always chassis these out. 120 millimeter fan at 106 CFM. So definitely putting out some air with this. So let's take and try to get this party started. So we looked at the radio, kind of know where we're at with that, and we're going to just go over to AM, and we're just going to punch this thing all by itself on AM, and let's just see what we see. So we're going to look at a 25 watt input reflection slug coming back to this from my driver. 250 watt slug is going to measure my driver. I have a 148 in line right now, and we will flip over to the R&R Cobra 29 to show that AM performance can increase dramatically just by changing the radios. We'll look at all that here in a bit. All right, so I'm going to run the Tech Star. So I am running a half a wavelength of coax from this radio down to the Texas Star, and then another half a wavelength down to the 4 transistor, and then another half wave off to my antenna. So a half a wavelength is equivalent to approximately 12 feet, as people like to call it, but that's only with the family of 213. Only family, only one, all by itself. All right, here we go. Let's just take a peek at well, we already see what the radio's driving. Audio. You can't really even see nothing there. Audio 1, 2. It's working. Okay, that's all working. Audio. Okay, so let's take a look. I am at a 1,000 watt slug. Let's look at that. 2,500 watt slug, and we'll use the digital stuff. 2,500 and 5,000. Bring this up a little bit. Let's just look at just a radio on AM driving this 4 transistors. Audio, each line is 20 watts. Audio. So I'm punching about 160, about 160 out of that. So 160 watts on AM. All right, let's say the amperage. Audio. About 23 amps. Here's the voltage. Audio. 14.8. So what happens with our peaker tweaker? Let's see where we're at. All right, we'll look at that one. And we're in peak mode. Peaker tweaker. Here we go. Peaker tweaker. Audio. So 600 watts out of 4 transistors on sideband. Pretty good. I think that works. Now, that's with no drive whatsoever. Oh, that was AM. I take that back. That was AM. Now let's check sideband in a moment. Audio. AM. Now I'm still in peak. Let's go to sideband. And we're sideband. Audio. Mysteriously, it is an identical number. Oh, I froze up. It's mysteriously that. What's going on, Chuck? The peak on AM and sideband is identical. All right, but I'm not using any energy for a carrier. Now here's sideband once more. Audio. Now what happens if I go on RMS? I'm supposed to be on sideband. Yes, I am. And I'm in average mode now. Audio. So it's showing me 375 there. What happens if I go to AM? AM, audio. So it shows 150. But I just showed 375 watts on sideband. I lost a lot of power because of my carrier. And I really don't even have one. No, the hell with it. Audio. I must have it set for a reason. Go back to sideband, and then we'll get into on the driver now. Audio. All right, so that was sideband. There's AM. So let's look at the driver real quick. I'm going to hit the stuff a little bit soft. Let's see if everything's working. Nope. That's why it ain't working. I didn't plug it back in, man. It's like that thing should move. Always should move. Even if it's a big slug, you see it twitch. All right, there we go. Now it should work. Checker audio. All right, so we're hanging out right around 30 watts of drive. And we're going to drive this 30 watts into this 4. Let's see if we even have a carrier. No, I don't. There's a little bit. All right, there's a little carrier. Okay. Audio drive. Hanging out just a touch over 30 input reflection, driving on through it. Audio 1, 2. That's a half a watt per line. That's about 1 watt. 25 watt slug, yes. Here's 1,000. Once more, here's 1,000 watts. Let me try something because I am getting creamed by this light. That better? Yeah, much better. All right, here we go. Audio. All right, now it's not doing a lot of power. Watch again. 1,000 watts. Each line is 20. Audio. All right, so I'm only doing 320 watts, but look at my drive. Audio. Right under 30 watts of drive on AM, and I'm making this much peak power now. Peaker, tweaker. Audio, easy 925 watts. Let's see what it says down on this one. Audio. Show me 1150. Let's go to RMS. Audio. Show 400 on that one, and let's look at the RMS on this one. Audio. 325. I gotta believe that one. Okay, so that was just with 30 to 35 watts of drive, and you're making that type of power. But That's perfect if you're going over to sideband. All right, you're on 35 watts of drive. We'll go to sideband, man. We'll hit this peak number. It'll drive right on up there. Watch the peak now. Audio, 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 audio. Identical to where we just were on AM. Almost identical. Let's go back to that. Audio, 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 audio. 959.75. This peak actually peaked out just a little bit on sideband. Audio, 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 audio. 975. This box is capable of doing a lot more power. Well, let's look at the amperage here. Audio, audio, audio. So we're drawing 86 amps across 4 transistors. Alright, so we got 86 amps. Divide that 4 times. So I'm pulling 21.5 watts per transistor on sideband at 35 watts of drive. Okay? Audio, 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 audio. Now, look at your average RMS peak. Sideband. Audio, average power. Audio, wow, we're really getting something right there. Audio. Yeah, it's relatively close, but you can still open yourself up for a little overdrive. Now, if we're to take and say, I'm going to go back to AM real quick, and we're going to turn this up. And let's see, that should put us right around 45, I think, 50. Audio, audio, right on the 45, 50 mark. Let's hit this a little bit harder. Audio. If you want to hang out right there. Oh, I am, yeah. Yeah, I am. Audio, audio, audio. So we'll run at 55 watts. I'm going to back this carrier down. Now remember, I'm not on that other radio yet. We're just taking and doing a little something here. Carrier up there. About 200 watts is always happy. I'm on AM. Audio, 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 audio. You see, it kind of just hit that brakes. That's just how this radio's set up. Audio. You see it? Just goes up and hits the brakes. Let's see my drive. Audio. 45 input reflection audio. Still hanging out right there. Now, my peak didn't increase very much. I don't know. Audio, audio, audio. 1050. Now, if I go to sideband with that same 50 watts of drive on AM, so if we take the 50 and divide that 4 times, that's 12.5 watts per transistor. Boy, there's a lot of headroom there. There's a lot of room to eat. All right, real quick before I go to sideband, let's look at the AM amperage. AM amperage, audio, audio, audio. 55 amps. All right, that's pretty cool. Audio, 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 audio. 61 up there. What happens to everything when I do this? Take a look. I'm on sideband, so I'm going right down to the peak meter. Audio, audio, audio. 1150. What happened to this? Audio, audio, audio. You show me like 125. The inputs don't really matter. Audio, audio. They're still there. Now, amperage. Audio, audio, audio. 102 amps. You just doubled. So if that don't clear the air on drive, I don't know what to show you guys. I truly wouldn't. Now, that's on sideband, and I really think that would... My phone's freezing up. This is on sideband, but that should pretty much show the truth. 100 amps out of 4 transistors. Let's take a look at that. That's drawing some current. 100 divided at 4. It's 25 amps a transistor. That's some current. That's maxed out. I don't suggest y'all go out there and run it like that. I'm in a dummy load perfect world and understand what I'm doing. I'm trying to help you guys understand what I'm doing so you can understand what you need to do. Alright, so pretty much if I were to back this down, back down where I pretty much was hanging out at real quick, we'll go back over here and we'll get this audio at 35 watts or so, and we'll go do the AM thing one more time. Now I'm going to change voltages. Hello, audio, audio, audio. So it's tracking exactly times 10 right now. But now, the only way without changing my radio, making more drive and doing other things, I want to show you the difference between just simply changing the voltage out on one of these units. So you change out the voltage. And we're on AM. We're gonna run the same test and just take a peek. This is how much voltage makes a difference, and we're only changing about 3/4 of a volt, technically. Audio. Didn't show a lot in RMS, but the peak really went up. Audio. Now, that's on AM. If I go to sideband, now it should be audio. At 1200 watts. And that was with about 30 watts or so an average, but the peak on that, move a bunch of slugs. Well, we already know the radio only puts out X amount. I have 2 transistors in there with attenuation. Close it down, but my peak is still right around 125 watts, I believe. Let's see if we can find that. See if this tells me the truth or not. Audio. Yep, about 125 or so. So, regardless, that gets you some ideas about boundaries on sideband and AM. Now, I'm simply going to flip over radios real quick, and we'll go back over to 14 volts, even though I know this unit's going to be running at a higher voltage. I'm going to change radios. I don't like switch boxes because they throw your system off. I'm not a switch box fan. I'm not a fan of a lot of things if you think about it. But now I have a different radio line. Let's throw these back out of the way, and let's do the baseline here. Let's see where we're at. Now, same dealio, AM, carrier. Got something, okay. I got something, I got sunshine, audio. I didn't change anything. That's just the difference between that radio and that radio. Difference between radios. Didn't change the voltage on the radios or anything. This is a drive. Audio. Now, one thing this radio don't do is hit the damn brakes. So if I run this as a drive into this, set my carrier. There we go. Couple hundred. There we go. And say audio. Way better performance. Audio, here's usable drive. Audio. 40 watts of drive. Audio. Well over times 10. It's tracking beautifully. What's going on with my amperage and the voltage? Now this is with both units. Voltage included. Audio, amperage, and voltage. Audio. So I'm throwing 63 with both units. Let's see what the 4 is drawing. Audio 55, 56. So everything's tracking nicely. You look at this, audio. That's 1100 watts with 40 watts of drive. 250 watt scale, each line's 5. Audio drive, 40 watts, usable drive. So she's tracking well over times 10. Cool. No worries, Dennis, no worries. So now what I want to do is I want to increase, and let's just go on up, and let's see what she's got. See if we got up here around 80 watts or so. Get a carrier back. Audio. Perfect. There's 80 watts. So if you just simply, that's quick math, 80 divided 4 times, that's 20 watts of transistor. Can these transistors take it? Absolutely. But you have to have your coax lined up right. You have to have your standard wave lined up right. That goes with anything. A lot of guys say, oh, I like a 2x4, and they run the 2 transistors into 4 2879 standards. The guy that built that 2x4, I hope, would limit the output of the 2-pill stage, because you could potentially overdrive it. Because at 20 watts with the standard pills would be, you're getting up into red line as far as drive level goes. Because that same 20 gets what? Knocked down to 5 watts per chip. There's 4 chips in those standard pills. There's 6 of them in here, so I still got room. All right, it's breathing room. Carrier. All right, drive. Audio working. Audio. I lost some. There's 75, 80. All right, there it is. Audio. 80 watts. Reflection input. Audio 1, 2, 3, 4. Right around 1.5 watts. Now, here is your RMS. 80 watts of drive with a good rating. Audio, 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 audio. There's that 580, 600 mark. And what's happening up here to peaker, tweaker, tweaker, turker, tweaker, 1350. That's really good. Let's see what this one says. Audio 1, 2, 3 shows about 100 better. More. Let's see what the RMS is saying. Audio, 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 650 on that one, and we'll go up to the 12 forward one, 2500 slug. Audio, 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 575. All believable numbers. Here is a 2500 RMS and peak. Audio, 50 watts a line. Audio, audio, audio. Yeah, 50 watts a line. So that was hanging out right around 650 on that one. Let's see the tweaker, tweaker. 1200. Do we see 1250? Nope. All right, no 1250. Any way you cut it, that's about where I would be on 12 volts. Now, there's a little bit more. If I change my voltage a whopping 3/4 of a volt, it does make a difference on the performance of the unit. I ain't gonna touch my drive, I ain't touching nothing. Watch the dead key. Only creeped up a little bit, right? Watch RMS. Hello, radio 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's 700 watts out of 4 flipping transistors. I don't know what y'all don't understand about this, but I broke it down for you. Audio, audio, tweaker, 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 13, 50, 13, 50. Tweaker, tweaker, 13, 50, 13, 14, 50. All right. Anyhow, that's at this voltage and this amperage. Audio, audio, 80 amps out of 4 transistors. Talk about getting some. Here's your voltage. Audio, audio, audio at 15.7. See what this amperage meter tells me. Audio, 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 7074. Hey man, I say that's a pretty good success. Hold on a minute. Be right back.
Yeah. Breaker. No South Jersey checking in. Danny in the shop where the real ones begin. 454s, 2290s, 28 setting knocks. All HGs hitting hard. Belly mud duck slide. Danny the man with that Dave May flair. Old school vibe, 90 smoke in the air. Forget that weak 6 bill high Q noise. This that Jersey Bill heat for the real convoy. Yeah, to my setup, but don't be a clown.
Alright guys, take one more thing here. Take a look. So with that said, this is what you see, what you should expect to see in your format of a 2879-C unit built as a MooZilla or a Mowatt's amplifier. Everything's heavy duty in them. They run like a scalded cat when you want them to. But at the end of the day, guys said, and this was their #1 complaint, I don't like the C pills because you got to drive them so hard. You don't. If you choose not to, you don't have to drive these transistors hard, and they will loaf along and do about the same or a smidge more than the standard 2879s made by HG. Thanks, Dwayne. So, as far as voltage goes, you have a wide spectrum of voltage you can run these at in DX and a shootout. I'll tell you this, you can go from 12.5 volts, 12.3 volts, all the way up to 22 volts with these transistors. Now, if you choose, how you choose to use that information is up to you. If you say, hey, I want to go talk skip at 16.5, cool, these things love it. In fact, I talk DX at 17, from 16.8 to 17.2, somewhere right in there. I run 24 pills. They have all C's in them. I'm hitting it with a 5 pill. I ain't exactly light, but I'm only showing about 18.75 watts to 19 watts of drive per transistor in my 24 pill. So she's really happy, and I bang along the streets of Jersey at about 4,000 watts RMS, having a blast when I get some DX in that truck. So as far as this unit goes, pretty much you got to have some amperage. A 100 amp power supply will really work very hard to keep up with this unit. So don't say, hey man, you just got a 4 pill and get a 100 amp power supply on 120 volts. It's not going to cut it. It really won't. Now a 100 amp power supply at 240 volts, you got a little bit more headroom. The power supplies work much better in 240 volts. So just got to catch up with me, Dwayne. You just have to keep all these things in consideration where you want to run it. But the first and foremost thing that you really got to understand is the phase angle of coax and what type of coax that you're feeding your equipment from to and from. So from the radio, it all starts there, and it always is a half a wavelength. If you run a 6 or a 9 or an 18, unless the builder tells you otherwise, it should be a half a wavelength. Most commonly, most radio techs, now they can chime in at any part and say, oh, I use a 9-foot jumper, I use a 6-foot jumper. A lot of guys, they don't talk about what they're on their bench. I have to, because I want you guys to understand this bench is correct. And if my bench is correct, that means this amplifier is built correctly. But if you put the wrong stuff in it, meaning coax length, it will affect the total outcome of how this amplifier is going to perform. And there's tattletales that will tell you that it don't like you or like the system. Where's your tattletale at? How can you hear your amplifier without headphones? That loudspeaker called a fan will take and tell you everything you need to know about the performance of how this amplifier is working. Because if you key up and your fan speed way up, and then when you start talking, they almost stop, and then when you quit talking, they speed up just on your carrier, and you adjust your carrier, and you see your reflect doing some weird ass dance. You got something not right in your system. That means you have RF in your system, and that fan is telling you, and it'll tell you to the point well, when they break, and when they break, this is a tattletale. You see that piece of sticky paper? It was a sticker at one time. Well, below that was an electrolytic capacitor. It's gone now. I saw it sitting down in the frame down here. I looked up, and sure enough, it blew the cotton right up out of that and actually removed the whole part. So these are extremely good fans with a filter board. And if this happens, that means your system is not correct. You're feeding this thing to or from, out or into this amplifier that it don't like it. Something it just don't like. So when that happens, you have a problem with you. Not with me or the fans or the amplifier. You have a problem with your system. And this is trying to tell you that. So if you actually listen to your amplifier, it will tell you if it's happy or not simply by listening to the fan. It's no different than you go to the doctor and the doctor puts a stethoscope on your back and tell you to breathe in and inhale and then hold it, exhale, and he does that. He's listening to you. That fan's right there in your back seat. Most of the time you guys, damn, this thing froze up. These fans are loud. This thing froze up again. So regardless of everything that happens with an amplifier, a lot of it, you can listen to it. You have to talk a little bit, but you have to use one ear to listen. You can check on a carrier, see what's going on. Move your carrier up and down and see what's going on, how those fans are reacting. You might have that funny spot, you hear, whee, speed way up, or they may slow way down. They shouldn't do that. They should be constant all the time. So if you guys actually listen to your amplifiers, they'll kind of tell you that your system's kind of right or wrong. But truly, your bird or your coaxial dynamic system is going to show you with your eyes visually on how the performance is on your amplifier. Now, you don't need all these birds. You use one bird. See, I got one bird right here. If I took this and moved it over here, I could still do the same thing I'm doing with all of this stuff. I just have to move things. So I'm measuring the input coming back to my driver right now, and I'm showing my driver input drive. Now if I wanted to just take this coax and remove this line section, put it in here, move this to the other side, put the proper slugs in, we could read the output power in RMS. Not peak, because I don't have a peak meter set up for this one. But regardless, all I have to do is move them from one side to the other. Gotta make these really heavy duty connectors. Yeah, they're pretty stout. So with that said, that is 4 2879Cs. Now, I've always liked these transistors, and a lot of people had controversy and they did not like them. Now, that's on them. That's on their ability to take and be able to call themselves a technician or a builder or whatever you want to call yourself, a paper boy. I'm a guy that understands an amplifier, and if I don't understand it, believe me, I will put the time in to understand what I have. You have to. In today's age, man, if you're not paying attention to these transistors and how the performance is from lot to lot or box to box, things could change up and you won't even see them. Then you'd be scratching your head for days saying, what am I going to do? There's a solution to every problem. It's only a problem is if you don't have a solution. So with that said, let's check out Molly. Where's she at? Hi, Molly. How's things today? You a good girl? You gonna sit? Hi. You gonna wave to everybody? Hi. Hi. You gonna yawn? You gonna say hello? Hello. Hi, roof roof. Molly? You say roof roof? 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 No? Let me clean your eyes. There. Okay. Now you say roof roof. Right. You gonna sit up? Sit pretty. Sit like a squirrel. Up, 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 up. All the way up. Good girl, Molly. Yes. Let me clean your eyeball again. We still got boogers in them. All right. So what else do you know? What do you know? You know anything? You smiling? You gonna wave? You say thanks for watching my box, same color as me, MooZilla? Yeah, MooZilla. Right? Hey, oh God, you sit. You wave. All right, you a good girl. All right, gonna catch this one, right? All right, you're doing good. All right, boogers, here. We're gonna take these peanuts right here, these extras, and we're gonna go for an Easter egg hunt. Ready? Watch, 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 Linda. Linda, watch. Oh, there they are. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Hopefully, I covered everything on this unit. At the end of the day, you just got to break down some numbers. So, no matter what, this is a no-risk calculator. This is a great thing to have. It's no risk whatsoever. All you got to do is plug some numbers in it. So, let's say I got 45 watts of drive. I'm going to take that 45 watts, I'm going to divide it 4 times. That's only 11.25 watts per transistor pill. All right. Now, you divide that, because we know there's 6 diodes inside the unit. Divide that by 6. 1.87 watts, 0.5 watts per transistor chip. And there's 6 of them. That's really doing nothing. You can go as high as 5 watts before you kill off that transistor. 5 watts per chip. So you start just getting into that. So you'd say, let's say we had 85 watts of drive, divide that 4 times. I know it's going to be more than that. That did not work out. 85 divided into 4. There you go. 21.25 watts per transistor. Now you're filling them up. Divide that out by 6. 3.54 watts per chip. You see how this pattern's going here? So you guys can literally take and do the math. You don't even no longer even have to ask, well, how much drive does that take? Man, listen, this is free. You can sit there and punch numbers in a calculator all day long. But the calculator's only as smart as your brain and finger that's poking the button. So just keep it simple and understand drive will kill amplifiers. Coax length will kill amplifiers. SWR or reflection absolutely kills amplifiers. And number 1, heat. Definitely chews up an amplifier. So if you have a poor cooling system, you might want to think of an upgrade. If your fans are talking to you, you hear them going, going slow and going fast and doing all kinds of crazy business, and you got some RF floating around in your vehicle, or it may not like a jumper length, may not like that particular radio. Don't have just one radio. Oh, I own a Striker. Oh, I own a Coax. Do you have anything with a single final? Yeah, I got this old Cobra 148. Cool, try it. Man, that thing works great. I can't believe it. Can't go wrong with a snake on the face of your on the face of your radio. So keep all those things in mind. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Understand where you're at, and you will be successful. A lot of times juggling coax only is going to be one or two things. It's either going to be a 6 or a 12 in layman's terms, or a half wave, or a quarter wave in technical terms. So what's going on, Brad? How are you? So guys, enough of my rant. I got a lot of things to do. This unit runs beautiful, and I think the guy's going to be really, really happy with it. So with that said, I'm sliding up out of here. Take care. God bless. Rolling to the left.
South Jersey. 1, 2, 3. Let's see what's going on. I find the ugly truck. Trying to pull some off this DX, yeah, I'm ugly up. R&R, Cobra, come 29, tone real. Word RMM, Severigen, watch the needle pill. DX rolling hard, condition stick. So I match the gas, let the motor rip. Engine screaming, bells cry, fans yell. Spinning alternators, ringing band bells. Heavy. Key to Mike, Hunt, Charlie Wilson. Break. Oklahoma skip, yeah, I'm fishing. Stand by. He hitting 30 dB from a mobile zone. Word. Then he called me back like Jersey, you strong. No doubt. Ugly truck, dead key heavy. 1, 2, 3, South Jersey, ready. Word. Wide on the band, you can feel me already. Ugly truck, ugly, deadly. He said 1, 2, 3, that ugly truck. You was flat out smoking, man, you lit me up. Good job coming out of Jersey State. Word. I'll pause on the key, let the sounds bake. Hold up. Key back, calm, voice low, no rush. Charlie, you got
happy birthday, Kelly Vega! Got a whole lot of folks in here. Y'all skipping work, man. You're ghosting.
1, 2, 3, I ain't squeezing lanes. I flood the whole band when I say my name. Chrome mic, boom, season talk. When I key that mic, whole ciphers walk. Deadly.
Mike Smith made this one for me. Did a good job on it.
1, 2, 3, South Jersey, ready. Wide on the band, you can feel me already. Ugly truck, ugly, deadly. Ain't yelling, nah, ain't rushing. Slow grind, just watch. Patience, word. If you hear me, you already late. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Skip, roll dirty, worldwide reach. From Jersey dirt to Oklahoma speech. No echo, no gimmicks, just raw transmission. Every syllable been the conditions. Barefoot loud, but the tone stay smooth. Old ugly truck still breaking rules. I don't chase numbers catch me. Dead key, heavy band stay messy. Nighttime down, my voice sit deep. When I say goodbye, the static weep. Stand by. Ugly truck, dead key, heavy. 1, 2, 3, South Jersey, ready. Wide on the band, you can feel me already. Ugly truck, ugly, deadly. Mr. Charlie Wilson, ugly truck, ugly, dead, no doubt. Appreciate the flowers. Now, ugly truck, 1, 2, 3, South Jersey. I'm 10-7, gotta take a break.
Alright guys, I sure appreciate you hanging out with me today. Did this demonstration and Molly and me, I think she wants to go out. So I'm going to slide out of here. Take care. God bless. Thanks again for watching. If you're on Facebook, you want to see this on YouTube, go to 123 Built Chicago and go to my live videos and you'll be able to watch all this stuff. You got to hit the live videos, and while you're hitting stuff, hit the subscribe button. Bump it on you later. I'm gone.